and welcome to this week's edition of Bits.
Coming up, we've got some seriously caustic views on Formula 1 and motorbike sims.
Booth is divided on Worms World Party.
And Space Invaders claws its sorry ass back onto our screens.
But first up, here's Alex with the latest from Duke Nukem.
Get your chaps on and bend over, buckaroo, because the Duke is back to call Daddy. Set the mood music on high, dim the lights real low, and don't forget to press record on the camcorder behind the two-way mirror, because it looks like you've got another night on your own, sitting on the couch with your hands in your lap. Get ready for action with Duke Nukem, Land of the Babes.
What's shaking, baby?
The man who means machismo, the poster boy for Misogynists Anonymous, Dolph Lundgren, after 15 hours in the sweatshop, the Grand Duke is back, waving testosterone and titillating the titted babes of the page 3 future of the Earth. Quite some time from now, horrid alien pigs have exterminated all the men, leaving Daisy Dukes at the mercy of 3 Mile Island sewer rejects. Being pathetic, they freak and build a time machine to bring back the only person who can save the day. Duke, the hot-blooded nuke.
That's one way to spank the monkey.
In the grand tradition of producing a shed load of pap for as little money as possible, the Duke keeps pumping out what he's always done best. Boobs, brawn, and amusing commentary. The latest in the console travesties is Duke Nukem, Land of the Babes. 3D Realms has obviously not paid attention to any graphical advancements since the Meat Time to Kill. They're looking at their product through a hefty pair of beer goggles. We require more than comedy pixelated squares of Crayola number 7 red flowing from a severed jugular to satiate our hunger. Similarly, we expect more from the 26 levels than rip-off puzzles and simplistic objectives. Want to know what to do? Move around and see which wall flickers. Blast it. See a bad guy in a room? Go there, and after disposing of him with your cunning arsenal of the same old weaponry, using a simple shot to the head as assisted by the auto-aim function, push the flashing red button. Next. We may be premature in casting judgment on the stain on a sanitary napkin of a game, but the state of this preview at such a late date leaves this reviewer to presume that there's nothing backing up this current Duke except a lax attitude by extremely lazy developers who have nothing to do but milk a dead cow. Where's the plot? Where's the climax? Duke Nukem, Land of the Babes is offending taste and decency in March.
The console wars are hotting up, with recent news that the big butch bully of the playground, Microsoft's Xbox, will be launched in Japan and America this September.
But we Brits will have to wait until March 2002.
You're probably all gagging at the prospect of playing on a console which looked like it just stepped out of Woody Allen's sci-fi piss-take Sleeper.
But as we revealed on Bit ages ago, this would simply not be the case.
No, our fantasies have been crushed by yet another dull design of a black box.
Sort of. In reality, it's a big, beefed-up brick of a console, but it is supposed to be 3 times more powerful than the PlayStation 2.
And in true Anne Robinson style, the poor old PlayStation 2 does appear to be the current weakest link, as unhappy Christmas consumers had to wave their consoles goodbye.
Amongst the lucky ones who did get their hands on a PlayStation 2 at Christmas, some have found themselves writing to the press to complain of serious performance faults.
Sony had this to say in response.
Sony can confirm that these claims are both exaggerated and misleading. PlayStation 2 defect rates are well below industry standards for consumer electronic products of similar complexity and power. As a point of comparison, current defect rates are lower than those experienced for the original PlayStation. In the unlikely event that a PlayStation 2 does need replacing, Sony is aiming to have that unit replaced within 48 hours in the UK.
And finally, did you know that the fat cats up at Sony HQ are so confident about their product and couldn't give a poodle's poo about the ever closer dawning of a new age with the Xbox on the horizon?
They've already trademarked the name PlayStation 3. No doubt when they bring out another console to join the rat race, this will likely be the name. How original.
Yeah, must have been a real toughie thinking that one up.
For all those people who like a bit of Vorsprung durch technique, they're a Formula 1 racing game. You know the type, like the guy in the ad who gets so overexcited about filming the precision of his brand new car that he tapes over his own wedding video. Duh! The attraction of the genre lies in the fact that this is the closest you're ever going to get to driving a real Formula 1 racing car. In other words, it's got to be super twitchy and hyper real to satisfy their anal gratification. Because let's face it, it's not going to be the thrill factor of going round and round the same tracks after the initial excitement of the starting line. Now, is it? For this tricksy market, Ubisoft have launched a Formula 1 Racing Championship. But is it value for money? Ooh. Formula 1 Racing Championship is a perfectly acceptable sim for the PlayStation 2 until you realise that practically the exact same game appeared in September on the original PlayStation. You might wonder why anyone would fork out another 45 quid when they can play the original, albeit with inferior graphics and less finely tuned artificial intelligence. Yes, but a real fan of the genre would, if only to show off their brand spanking new PlayStation 2 box above their new machine. Oh dear. Another game also on recent release is MotoGP. This one boasts of being endorsed by the 99 Japanese team of riders. Originally a lackluster arcade game, it's been reworked into a fairly enjoyable PlayStation 2 title. So there you have it. Brand loyalty knows no bounds for some. But take my advice and stretch your legs on the high street. Go beyond the world of slavish realism. Why not try the cheeky charms of Mario Kart on the SNES or the scintillating sensations of Wipeout 3 on the PS1? But hey, that's just me. Some people are just plain crazy.
Time now for Shop Shelf.
You've read too many Tom Clancy books and have accidentally fallen into a bizarre parallel universe in which you are leading an arse-crack team of highly qualified professionals. Then you don't need Rainbow Six on your Dreamcast. However, if you're a bank manager who leads a boring existence with your fuddy-duddy wife and 2-point zilch kids too afraid to join the TA, then cock your load at this.
Bored with Final Fantasy and too scared to go online to test out any of the other available RPGs? Then grab Grandia for the PlayStation for a tenner. Not the best looking game, but what it lacks in graphics, it makes up for in depth. You want a slice of Sicily just like your mama used to make? Then say hello to this little friend. Pizza Connection 2 for the PC. A pizza game might not sound much until you add a slice of jealousy, a sprinkling of corruption, crush some gangsters into the mix, and add a melt of bribes and bullets to taste. In true mafioso style, you're fighting with everyone trying to smash up rival pizza restaurants. If you like extra toppings and a bit of cheese in your crust, this one is for you. Bada bing, bada boom.
I want to suck on your cock. No blood! Another trip to Transylvania for all you undead lovers. Vampire Hunter D is based on the comic books that spawned Blade. This is the usual tale of a man at war with himself. Tortured souls unite. If you're obsessed by all things pasty, then you might want it on your PlayStation. All for only a tenner.
If you have more dough than you know what to do with and haven't yet wangled a place on Robot Wars, Then put out and strap on a copy of the futuristic, full-price mechanoid madness that is MechWarrior 4 Vengeance. This metal Mickey is number 16 in the Battle Tech series and has upped the action ante. So place your bets on the nuts and bolts. It's out for your PC now.
Last week we consoled the Control Freak with a few gratuitous shots from Kessin. This week's prize number is a different kettle of fish.
Indeed. Dear Bits, everyone calls me a touch slow. It's not that I don't have lightning-fast reactions or great hand-to-eye coordination or anything. I blame my continuing defeat on Quake 3 Arena on my slow Dreamcast connection. Somebody told me they were playing on a 56k modem instead of the bog standard 33k. How is this possible?
Well, it has been brought to our attention that some sneaky hackers have been fiddling with their Dreamcast and upgrading their modem from 33 to 56k.
But before you start drooling like a dog, remember that this is only going to improve your connectivity to surfing the internet. It's not going to make your online gaming so fast that if it was a cake, it would be called a scone. If things are getting you down, don't run to the chat rooms crying. Send your complaints on a videotape to us.
Or if you're feeling a bit more creative, why not send in your own game reviews? Find yourself a game.
Get yourself a video camera.
And then tell us what you think.
We'll cut it together here and make you your own mini review for broadcast on Bits.
To find out more about sending in your tapes, go to our website at www.fulllater.com/reviews.
One last thing. If you're feeling a little bit more profound, maybe, you could always send us something rather interesting like Dean here.
Oh, to be Emily's bogey, to be so close to her without anyone seeing, to feel her tug at my very being. On to her dainty digit I do stick, resistance is futile as she commits bogey side. There is no escape from a fingernail so slick. And as she picks and flicks me over onto the floor, I land next to her toenail clipping from the previous night before. I stare up at her vacant nostril, gloating, glaring, laughing at me, and I sigh. Ah, never to feel her breathe on me no more. Love, Dean.
Poetry, pure poetry. Join us after the break where Emily will be getting very Larry with our top 5 Hellraisers.
There's no need for words, Snake. I'm psychopathic. That's right.
And the nun says, not even if you were Jesus! You know you're watching Bits, and we've got a great show for you tonight. We've got Space Invaders and Gran Turismo 3. How'd you fit 4 elephants into a mini, eh? Two in the front, 2 in the back. How's that for invading space? You crazy people, you've been a great audience. But first, put your hands together for a warm welcome for the magnificent, the magical Sigmund and Ray!
Cast your mind back to those painful playground memories when nobody loved you, everybody hated you, so you took refuge in eating worms, you freak. Well, 10 or maybe even 20 years later, and little has changed. You and the worms are still parching away. But if you think about it, the worm makes the perfect geek. Chop it in half and hey presto, instant friend for you to unleash your unsavory obsessions with. Billy No Mates is history. It's time now to chop their heads off and squeeze their insides out on an international scale with Worms World Party. You lead your team of 4 wriggly warriors into battle in a last man standing style turn-based combat game in a bid to blow up the other team using a medley of often bizarre weaponry. It's basically missile command with worms and a sense of humour. It looks simple, it is simple, it's got people hooked, but it's pretty pointless in single player. There's no doubt about it, the game's strength is in its sociable style multiplayer. But remember, this party is worldwide. In other words, Worms is one of many joining Dreamcast's online gaming revolution. One thing, going online is a faceless sport. So for a game which revels in sociable party-style thumb wars, doesn't this take away one of the game's sole pleasures and strengths? You can have 1, 2 or 3 opponents on one console in the same room whilst fragging any other Johnny foreigner from around the world. So the element of sociable gaming is still present. There should be few problems with lag. After all, it's a turn-based game. Contrary to rumours, Dreamcast players will not be able to play against PC versions whilst online. The look is still imaginative, if a little straining on the eye, and you can still team up to play the more instant 40 different missions. Worms World Party will join the online gaming boom for Dreamcast, along with Pod 2, Phantasy Star Online and Unreal Tournament. And it will be fun, and it will be addictive, just as it's always been. I know, but whether the little critters will successfully wriggle through to the core of the Earth, we'll have to wait and see. Worms World Party is coming out for Dreamcast and PC at the end of February.
Moving swiftly on, it's time to go from Worms Party to a Garage Party. Yes, it's time for petrolheads to get high with the FMV of the week.
Hold on to your horsepower, because Gran Turismo is back.
It's number 3.
Roll FMV!
Come on, baby. Vroom, vroom.
Isn't that gorgeous? Get the refraction on that bonnet, baby.
Whoa, that were right tasty.
Unfortunately, that's all you'll see of that game for a while, as the launch has been delayed yet again.
Yeah, you're not going to get your mitts on it until at least June or July, because they've delayed it in Japan until April.
Ho-hum, but don't forget, if you've got some tasty-looking FMV that you'd like to get an eyeful of, nominate it via our website.
Address is coming up after Alex uncovers the truth about Space Invaders.
Last December, the world opened its arms and Area 51 to a new game called Stupid Invaders, an adventure story with a preposterous plot and absolutely nothing to do with the original Space Invaders.
I love little baby chickies. Ooh. Served up with hot pig placenta. Yum.
It's Ren and Stimpy meets Spaceballs. You and your game show-obsessed alien pals must escape from the ice ray of the evil Dr. Saccharin and his crafty assistant, Bollock. Though it looks fantastic and caused a ruckus at last year's trade conventions, the hugeness of the files made even the most ultra-computer feel like a bit of a clunker. But it does offer us a far too tempting opportunity to turn back the clock some 20-odd years.
Hello.
The Invaders are the Space Invaders, born out of a weird Japanese businessman's dream in the early days of the coin-ops. They descended upon Japan in 1978 and changed the course of history forever. They caused financial shortages in Asia, they inspired a really shit film, and now they're haunting our TV sets. You cheated, man! I was talking! What are you doing? Space Invaders has infiltrated the human psyche. The simple of the aliens approaching our hapless, peaceful planet is one of the most recognizable sounds of the 20th century. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the little green men from outer space, though they were the first to break into the ice cream parlor market and out of the dark, dingy back rooms of God knows where. The Bible Belt of America had a few things to say about that. In fact, the citizens of Mesquite, Texas actually took Taito, the developers, to the Supreme Court. But of course, they had really good reason to, because it was wreaking havoc in Japan. Now, it was an instant success there. The country ran out of coins. One little girl was actually arrested for stealing upwards of 3,000 pounds from her mother's purse just to feed her addiction to the game. There was pillaging, there was looting, there was thieving, all for the love of a big, bleeping box. But is all this nostalgic pap? Does anyone really care? Enter those denizens of suicidal intentions, Radiohead, and their antidote, the Samaritans. Only take one with the other for good results. Granted, it was the first game in color, but the color was actually taped onto the screen. So underneath it all, the aliens were simply black and white. Now, Space Invaders is in its 20s, and it's spawned a plethora of pretenders, a mountain of mind-boggling merchandise, and a ton of tribute bands. And of course, the movie, Space Invaders. Game over? Not quite yet.
Unless you happen to be a spoiled offspring of a rock star with a serious case of PMT, then most of us can actually resist the temptation to totally trash our rooms in a fit.
Yes, we mere mortal humans rarely get to exercise those demons or express our violent sides.
So we've gone out in search of the most unadulterated, pure forms of rage, satisfying, yes, our top 5 Hellraisers!
If there's one game which revels in non-stop disrespect to one's surroundings, it's got to be Crazy Taxi for the Dreamcast. It's a peaceful sunny day in San Francisco and then boom! Driving into the relaxing public, enjoying a dry martini out in the open, you knock them out of the way, taking the parasol with you. But just to overdo it that much more, they've painstakingly programmed the parasol to just keep on rolling. Nice touch.
Good job.
In Metal Gear Solid, Psycho Mantis is so called because of his psychic powers, but he's also a bit radio rental. Check him out as he whizzes round the office having a bit of a fit. Work rage never looks so cool. Oh, to be invisible and a superfly ninja guy.
God creates man, man creates God, man becomes God, thus man destroys God. Or something like that. Ah, the joys of megalomania and courtesy of black and white.
This grab and chuck 'em up is a free-for-all carnage fest. Power Stone 2 for the Dreamcast is a beat-em-up meets platformer meets adventure. Grab the nearest thing to you, be it chair, table or innocent granny, and throw it at your opponent with admirably devastating results. Messy food fights rock and do wonders to remind you that you need never grow up.
Perhaps not the most obvious of Hellraisers because everyone thinks she's little as perfect. But has anyone actually stopped to think about what she's actually doing? Our Lara storms into sacred resting places, nicks precious artifacts, and blows up as many endangered species and large precious vases as she can. In other words, she's a typical Brit abroad. She's an embarrassment to our already soiled reputation. She'll be asking the Gorkon for egg and chips next.
Say wanker, it's competition time.
And this week we've got Kitty, the techno kitten for you to play with.
All you have to do is answer this simple question.
Comic books! We love them! Who doesn't? Who hasn't dreamt of being a superhero or a superheroine at some point in their lives? Well, in an unprecedented bout of vanity, we three have come to dream of being a superheroine power trio. What we need from you is characters, costumes, and superheroine names. If you can help us out, then send us your thoughts in an email or reward the best suggestions with a prize.
Send your answers in via our website at www.forlater.com/bits, and this pussy will be purring for you.